take us back to Google and tell us any sort of relevant history that you know about Google, because it's such an important company in the history of Silicon Valley.
Yes. SV Angel came on the scene in 1999 when Larry and Sergey had known each other for 4 years by then. But it's important to know that Larry and Sergey met each other when they were PhD students at Stanford. Larry was 24, Sergey was 23. So these are young PhD students who meet each other and start working together. And they, at the time, the need for a better search engine was everywhere. It's just like the AI discussion is today. It was the topic du jour. If you met somebody at a cocktail party, you were talking about search companies. It was the gold rush, as I said earlier.
Okay.
But it was what everyone was obsessed with. So Larry and Sergey, like everybody else, said, hey, why don't we come up with a solution? And theirs, funny enough, they nicknamed it Backrub, was the original name of the search engine. But being PhD students, their solution was more scientific. They thought that if you analyze the web's forward and back links to determine page rank, funny enough, Larry Page, page rank.
Yeah.
I'm sure they didn't care about that, but they cared about page rank and that the search should be relevant. And when you say page rank and relevant today about search, it's ho-hum.
Right.
At the time, just even the thought of using backlinks for page rank to get to page rank was a revolutionary thought. Then they had to write an algorithm to make that happen.
Are you going to explain the name?
I actually don't remember the genesis. I think the genesis of Backrub is that that the search made you feel good. But I'm just guessing that.
Oh.
We should go find.
We're going to go follow
We should go find that.
We can probably
But their
do
name for the solution was Backrub.
Okay.
Okay.
And because of the high interest in search, people at Stanford in the engineering department knew the term Backrub.
So just for non-technical people like me to explain it, Google wanted to, like, if you were searching up a certain kind of dog, they didn't want to list every single photo or web page that was on the internet of dogs. They wanted to find the one of that certain type of dog that had been linked to the most by other websites.
Exactly. So if a lot of people, in the early days, the algorithm was more fundamental. It became hugely sophisticated over time. And the reason Google is still the market leader is they still invest heavily in R&D to continue to be the leader in search. But back then, if people asked the same question and they kept going to this one particular site, that site must be giving them the answer. So let's just go ahead and send other people there.
To that site. Okay. And were they working on this? I feel like I read that they were working on this with Rajiv Motwani.
Yes.
Is that true?
So when you become a PhD, you get assigned a PhD advisor, and that person is assigned to you. But PhD students, I learned all of this after investing in Google and investing in other startups that came out of Stanford University. You get assigned a professor, but because everyone in a PhD program, including the ones who are already PhDs, are super curious people, and they all interact with each other about the technology that they're working on.
Yeah.
So Larry and Sergey got assigned professors, but they also hung out with many others. And Larry and Sergey became particularly close to Rajiv because Rajiv had expertise in this area. This was an area that that already fit Rajiv's fancy.
Okay.
Whereas the other PhD professors that they got assigned to may have not been thinking about this particular area. But this is an area that Rajiv was very well versed in. So they got closer to Rajiv than others.
Okay. So they meet there, they're working on PageRank, and then what happened? They published a paper on Backrub?
Well, Backrub wasn't really a paper.
Okay.
It was just the technology. Remember, everyone's talking about search. And in December of 1998, I got invited to Vivek Ranadive's holiday party because his kids and our kids go to school together. And one of the guests at that party was David Cheriton. David Cheriton, a professor at Stanford.
Right.
So SV Angel already had a strategy at the time. We want to be close to all the PhD professors at Stanford because they generate startups. Sun Micro was started at the Stanford campus.
Okay.
Silicon Graphics was started on the Stanford campus in the PhD programs. So we had already strategically infiltrated the Stanford engineering department, and we asked all the Stanford professors, would you like to invest in SV Angel?
Okay.
And if you invest in SV Angel, hopefully you'll get great returns. But in return for that, we want you to tell us when you have an interesting PhD student that you should introduce us to.
Yep.
David Cheriton was one of those professors who invested in our fund, and so was Rajiv Motwani.
Okay.
It just so happened that David Cheriton was at Vivek Ranadive's holiday party. We are all in tuxedos because he liked black tie. David Cheriton is the most casual dresser on earth other than Paul Graham.
I was just going to say, but you know
He's-
Paul Graham. So.
Exactly.
Wow. Pretty
Always
casual.
in shorts. For this party, he had a tuxedo on. So I went up and made fun of him. And he made fun of me that we were so dressed up and that we don't like being dressed up. And then just to keep cajoling him, I said, and oh, by the way. And he goes, by the way, what? I said, I haven't seen any deal flow from you lately. You have to have at least one or two students in your program who are starting a company that would be interesting to SV Angel. You have to be a good investor. That's your part of being in our fund. And he goes, well, as a matter of fact, and that's the first time I ever heard the term back rub. So he says to me out of the blue, oh, yeah, back rub would probably be of interest. I said, well, tell me what back rub is.
Yeah.
And he said the magic words. He said back rub is a search algorithm developed by two students at Stanford that searches by PageRank and relevance. And I put my drink down and said, oh my God, this is big. This is big because we had all the context from our Ask Jeeves investment and evaluating other search investments that SV Angel was looking at.
Right.
And I immediately knew that if a search engine searched by PageRank with the goal of relevance, and it was an algorithm that was scientific, it would definitely be ahead of the rest of the market.
So, Ron, you all knew that PageRank and relevance was what was needed to be solved. No one had just cracked the nut yet?
Exactly.
Okay.
But the term PageRank was also brand new.
Well, that's what I was going to
Backrub.
ask. Like,
Yeah.
were these the
But
terms?
the minute you say PageRank, it goes, oh, that
of
would be the
course.
solution.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
I was thinking the same thing though. Like you didn't even know what PageRank was
No.
until it was explained to you and you said, aha.
That's the key.
Yes.
Right. Okay.
It has to be good. So he said, hey, don't be too anxious. The product isn't ready yet, and I know they wouldn't meet with you. Wait till the time's right. You have to trust me.
Did you, Ron?
Oh, I
Did
had
you
to.
trust him?
I had to.
Okay, you
I
waited.
didn't want to go around David.
Okay.
I didn't even know who these guys were, and I didn't want to walk up and down the halls of Stanford saying, "Where's Larry and Sergey?" And I think at that time he didn't even tell me their names.
Okay.
I only really knew backrub, PageRank with the goal of relevance, and that was enough. Where I stayed on his case for months. He got phone calls from me. Everyone who knows me well knows I know how to hound people.
Yeah.
And I try and hound in a friendly way, and I never irritated David. But sure enough, when I called him late March, he said, guess what? The time is right.
Okay.
They're going to raise money, and let's go have lunch at the Empire Tap Room.